You my bitch.
It's Broadway Comedy Club Radio, the only podcast that's also a comedy club, with your clearly above average hosts, Al Martin and Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to Broadway Comedy Club Radio. I'm your host, Clayton Fletcher, here in New York City, joined as always by the legendary owner and booker of Broadway Comedy Club and author of the great comedy book, Did It on a Dare. Please welcome back to the program my co-host, Al Martin. Al, how's it going, buddy?
Hello, everybody. Glad to be back.
Yeah, you're looking good. Everything good? Your spring is going well?
Yeah. Listen, I'm good news. We're getting ready to reopen.
The clubs are back open. The comedy is back in full swing in New York. Well, I don't know about full swing, but we're 30% capacity. It's better than it was last month, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the way I choose to try to look at it. 33% capacity, but also there's a curfew in New York, so we're limited to 11 o'clock. But I'm very confident and hopeful that will change over the next few weeks or month as the numbers come down, and we have a lawsuit or two pending, and maybe one or two other women come out from hiding and get more goods on the governor, and to deflect, he'll open more things. He seems to open things after there's another person coming out.
Yeah, the more criticism of Cuomo, the more libertarian he becomes. I've noticed, they criticize him. He's like, well, let's open the restaurants. They criticize him again. Well, maybe we should have gambling in New York.
Right. Yeah, this is it. Keep on going. Just keep out bringing the women. It would be great if they brought out a guy or two also,
All right. Well, I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. We have an amazing guest on our podcast today. We are so lucky to be able to get this guy. He's one of my favorite comedians, except if you ask me, who do I want to follow? This guy is absolutely hilarious. He's been on Conan, Craig Ferguson, his own Comedy Central special, on and on and on. He's also an actor. He's been on Dexter, Mad Men, so many different things. He's an amazing, rare talent and a friend of both of ours. So please welcome first-time guest, Brian Scolaro. Brian, how are you?
Good. Thank you. That was very nice of you, man. Thank you, Clayton. I appreciate it.
And Brooklyn born.
Oh, well,
Brooklyn born and Brooklyn failed. Brooklyn born. Bay Ridge, right by the Verrazano Bridge.
Nice. So is that where you are now? Are you
I'm in LA in a studio apartment. So okay. Brooklyn born, Los Angeles failed.
Yeah. What's it like out there in LA these days?
The weather's beautiful, so it's like it's been a year, but I wouldn't know if it's been a year except for the fact that I haven't worked in a year. But otherwise there's no seasons, it's just beautiful weather. And the weird thing is the hot girls and the hot guys who aren't wearing masks. You know what I mean? Like everyone else is wearing a mask, but this is like survival of the fittest instinct. Like, well, it's not my fault you're fat. You die, So they how am I supposed to get things for free if I cover my beautiful face? So like my own neighbor won't wear a mask. My own neighbor won't wear, and I have to bump into in the elevator. It's fucking frustrating. Oh, it's frustrating.
It's okay.
I know. Right. I see that all day. And, everything you read, COVID really is the most damaging on either respiratory problem people or overweight people. So I
have several friends in the hospital right now. I've lost a total of 11 people to corona. So it's like and it's weird, because I took it seriously from the start. My neighbor died the first week of March. So I'll never forget that. So my family took it seriously immediately, You
mean March of this year or March of last year?
Last year, 2020.
Oh, okay. So almost like right when we started hearing about it.
So we took it seriously immediately,
Yeah. Well, that was a wake-up call that you had that maybe a lot of people out there who don't think they should have been wearing a mask this whole time, they didn't have such a wake-up call to show them like you really can die from this.
So the thing is, if you run somebody over with your car, you see that person dying and you feel bad. If you don't wear a mask and you're asymptomatic, you give it to somebody in the elevator, that person gives it to their wife, that person kills their grandmother with it. You never see the person you killed. So they don't see it. So if they don't see it, they don't feel it.
That's a great way to put it and to put it into a perspective. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why they don't care, But I understand that train of thought. I understand. Like if I was 22 right now, I don't know if I would care as much as I do as 47,
I wonder like how much of us will have PTSD from all of this in a way, because like, let's say the whole population is vaccinated and the numbers are really low. Will we still see people in their cars by themselves, double masked,
Yeah. Well, I wonder what's going to happen the first time somebody touches me. Am I going to punch them, or am I going to ejaculate? I don't know. I haven't done it.
It depends on how hot they are,
Yeah, I guess so. Well, my standards have gone down. I'm getting turned on by the guy in the Pringles can these days.
I hear you. So you actually haven't been touched in a year. That's
it's been a long time. Like I really wish I had been in a relationship right at the cusp, but I would have started. But oh man, I did not.
Yeah, if anybody really knew what was coming, we all would have cuffed up right.
Yeah.
So Brian, I have a question.
Yeah,
I'm always very fascinated with comedians in terms of what they did before they became comics. What was their life trajectory?
I hear you. I had one. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I'm fascinated to read that your job was you worked a lot with the mentally handicapped.
Yeah, I went to a Catholic high school. Even though I'm Lutheran, I went to a Catholic high school, and they had a camp for it's retardation, people who suffer from retardation, and adults and children. We were the second camp in the world for kids with HIV and AIDS. There was a camp for deaf children. So while I was working there, I met a guy who runs a house for about 8 mentally handicapped people. So when I graduated college, I worked at that house, and I did that. And what was good about it is I would work 40 hours on Sunday, 40 hours on Wednesday, and then I'd have the rest of the week to perform and audition. So I lucked out. A lot of guys with day jobs can't build a career because they got to go to bed at 9 o'clock to wake up at 6, but I had that luxury, and it was fun because I got to because I was there when the older counselors were gone, I got to help the clients the way I wanted to. Like I remember one guy, Chucky, had slight MR, slight mental retardation. And I was like, you got to go to bed. And he's like, there's a monster in my closet. Now he's smart enough to know there's no monster in his closet. So I just went, are you kidding me? Oh my God. And I picked up a wiffle bat. And I opened the closet and I started fighting nothing. And I did the hand like, oh, and he loved it. He laughed. And I was like, you done? He was like, yeah. And he went to bed. Now, an older counselor would be like, no, you have to tell him there's you can't play imagination, yada, yada. But I did things the way I wanted to. It was a lot of fun.
Did you find any difference between leaving the mentally handicapped during the day?
Exactly. That's what I say. I say it all the time. I say it in a messed up way, but when a crowd's crazy, I go, I used to work with retarded people, so this is very similar. And then, but you can't say those words now, but that's what I used to say. Because it's very, very similar.
Certain parts of Brooklyn, you can still say it that way. That's
exactly. Yeah. But
I don't think political correctness is ever going to find its way to Brooklyn. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. But dealing with an audience that's drunk is very, very similar to dealing with 8 MR patients during lunch. Where I would take them to the mini golf. And I had a memory today because they canceled Pepe Le Pew for Space Jam 2. I remember taking 8 of them to see Space Jam in the theater. Just me, and just me getting all the popcorn and making sure they're all not throwing up or running around. It was a weird job, but I enjoyed it, and they were my friends. I did it. I knew them for 8 years.
I feel a lot of times, and when I talk to comedians, they're extremely funny on stage, but then off stage they have the personality of a wet towel sometimes. But having watched you a few times in the green room, and even just having this conversation with you now, I really feel like you're one of these guys. You're just a very funny guy naturally.
Thanks. I do have. I remember when I first started. I remember hanging out with a girlfriend at a party that I didn't want to be at, and some guy goes, "So you're a comedian?" I was like, "Yeah." And then to everybody, he goes, "Isn't it weird that comedians are funny on stage, but off stage they're downers?" So I just went, "My dog just died." And he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I was like, "No, I'm just making it up." It's like, who are you to I can't be in a bad mood. They expect us to be funny all the time.
Right.
But I definitely grew up enjoying comedy. So before I knew I wanted to do comedy, I grew up watching the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy and Tim Conway, and they were just funny. So I wanted to bring that joy to people, and I wanted the attention too. But it was like so whether or not I was going to do this for a living, I developed that personality strictly by the love of it, I guess, just from watching those guys, off stage.
So you kind of like, are you one of those folks that started in acting or started in stand-up and then went into acting?
Stand-up was secondary to me. Acting was first. I was like the lead in some grammar school plays, and then I was the lead in some high school plays. And so I had that. So when I carried over to multi-cam sitcom, which is like a play, it was rather easy because I had done 12 plays already. So that's what it's a multi-cam sitcom, like Big Bang Theory is a multi-cam, Cheers is a multi-cam, like it's a stage play. So that was like a no-brainer. And comedy was something I always wanted to do, but it wasn't a dream. Like I saw Bill Cosby himself. All right, it's Bill Cosby, get out of here. I saw Bill Cosby, and I saw George Carlin Playing with Your Head, and I saw them both perform live. I saw Bill Cosby at 14 years old at Harrah's Atlantic City, right after himself, and I saw George Carlin at the Westbury Music Fair, and I was like, I want to do this too. But if it wasn't for stand-up, I wouldn't have got the acting breaks. I got the auditions through stand-up. So it's a give and take. I do love both. I prefer acting because when you're on the set of Mad Men, there's no bachelorette party heckling you. You know what I mean? You're acting. But, when you're on stand-up, the bottom can fall out any second.
It's a very fascinating world because I remember when I was about 18 or 19, being at that Westbury Music Fair and seeing Robert Klein on stage.
Wow.
And then fast forward all the years later, he was at my, when I used to own the Boca Black Box, which at the time was New York Comedy Club in Florida. And then opening night of the Broadway Comedy Club in Manhattan, I got to see him. It's like, I would think the same feeling as a Yankee rookie getting to meet Derek Jeter at the end of his career or something. Like you see the people you grew up loving, all of a sudden, you're having a relationship with them in a way.
I love Robert Klein. Almost doesn't get enough respect. Everybody thinks that Seinfeld created observational humor, but it was Robert Klein
definitely,
who pioneered it. And I always remember he was the third host of SNL, Saturday Night Live. I still call Saturday Night Live. And and they wanted to bring him back, but the producers felt because he still wore suits that he was the representation of the old guard. Even though he was very hip and new and all about progressiveness, he still represented the old guard. So he was kind of stuck in between those two fields, those two time periods.
No, Brian, if you showed up at I didn't mean to interrupt, but if you show up at a comedy club, say next weekend, and you saw a comic that you didn't recognize, and he's wearing a suit and tie,
I'm fine with that. Everybody does what they want to do. When I was a New York comic solely, I would judge road guys. A road guy would come in like, let's go off the road. I'm like, you loser. But now, now I know that's very necessary.
There's still a lot of that going on. There's still a lot of that going on.
But we didn't like guys with puppets. We didn't like guys with guitars. But once I started traveling, I realized there's different types of comedy. There's Dennis Miller. There's Eddie Griffin. There's so many types of comedy, and I'm not. Who am I to judge?
And Gallagher, right?
Yeah. Let's help the listeners understand, though. As a New York comic, if you see
more pure, it's very pure. It's just you. It's just you on stage. We don't like that. We don't like the outsiders. And
but maybe people listening that aren't from New York might not even know this, Brian, because they might go to their local comedy club and see the headliner with a guitar or a puppet or whatever, and they assume that the same thing is happening on the coast, but it's really not. I mean, you will catch the rare music act or magic act or ventriloquist or whatever, but that's really kind of the bread and butter of the road headliner, right? When I see a newer comic or someone I don't know and he's in a suit and tie, my first instinct is, he's already got 2 strikes.
I don't think so. I guess, but I don't think so. I mean, there's a guy, Ryan Stout, where he's great. A lot of guys wear suits. What's his name? Matt Fultron wears suits, and then
Steve Middleman, right? Steve Middleman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld wears suits.
Jerry Seinfeld wears suits. Tom Papa wears suits, and those I'll watch Tom Papa over most comedians. You know what I mean?
Tom Papa's
So I'm
absolute
fine.
killer.
It's when they wear red leather. That's when I tune out. You know? Unless it's Amy Schumer or Liza Schlesinger.
The pink leather's not a problem, right? It's just the red, yeah. No, but when I started, I always showed up in a jacket. Like I would show up at the old New York Comedy Club on 24th Street when Al owned it, and I would bring my 3 friends, and I had a suit, I at least a coat and tie. Like,
I wore a blazer with a t-shirt.
Yeah,
I thought that's what I was supposed to wear. But then like you develop your style. I always say whatever you do in the first 5 years is not what you do for the rest of your career.
No, that's you getting your feet
wet. There's an experimental thing where you try to find your voice and try to find your footing, and like that's the first 5 years is not what you wind up doing. You know,
right now. Do you put much thought into what you wear nowadays when you get up on stage? Do you think about it like, well, I could wear this?
Well, I think I look good because there's something wrong with my mirror. Because every time I go, that's good. And then I see the footage, and I go, Jesus Christ, my stomach's hanging out. That I wear the outside shirt, and then the more I perform, the outside shirt goes like this, and my stomach just comes out. It looks horrible. And I'm like, how are people watching me for 45 minutes? I look like that. Like, no wonder no girls talk to me after the show. So, like, I'm in the process of losing weight. I lost 35 pounds. I'm exercising every morning.
Yeah, me too.
Good. You do look good. You know, I'm just hiking every day. Every morning at 6:30, I do it early because half the town's not wearing masks, so I do it early, and then get back home and then eat a tray of lasagna, so it balances out.
You have to refuel right after you work out. You have to refuel with some lasagna.
Exactly. I just ate a pack of Oreos before the show started. It was. I don't think I even was aware. I think I just stared at the clock and just ate them. It was great.
So question: Oreos and ring dings, same kind of concept.
See, I love the fact that you call them ring dings because those are gone. They're ding dongs now.
Yeah,
but when we grew up, they were ring dings. They were ring dings.
Yeah. So, do you go for the kill and just bite the whole thing, or do you take the top off and work the top?
No, I take the Oreo as is. I like the Oreo as is. Who am I to break things down? You know what I mean? What is this? Is the Top Chef? I got to do deconstructed Oreo. I just want just put it in my mouth as is. I like it as is. But they say like if you eat an Oreo,
do you dunk it? Do you dunk it in milk?
No, that would mean I have money to afford milk. I don't want milk. I'm sitting. I got no wall art. Look at me. I mean, like my life's over. My career's over. But they say the whole thing about if you dunk it, that means you're not. That means you're the type of person who makes life what they want. If you eat an Oreo as is, it means you like dealing with what life gives you. That's crazy. That's
talk
nonsense.
about deconstructing
means I like the taste of Oreo as is. I like the Oreo as is.
He doesn't want to deconstruct the Oreo. All
right, I think that should be the title of this episode.
Deconstructing
the Oreo.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now before we really get sidetracked with Al talking about food, let's move on. I want to hear about you have all these acting credits, and I think that a lot of our listeners would be interested. If you have any stories to share from, maybe tell us like what some of your favorite on-set experiences or roles that you played like outside of comedy in your acting career.
My favorite story is I worked with Christopher Lloyd from Taxi and Back to the Future for like 2 years, and we became friends. And after like I would say a year of being friends with him, I sat down with him one day and we were on the set, and I said, I got to talk to you about something. He goes, what? I was like, something you did really bother me. He goes, what? What did I do? I was like, something you did really upset me, and I just feel like we should talk about it. He goes, what? I was like, when you killed the cartoon shoe in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when you put it in the dip and you killed the cartoon shoe that was just squeaking and it was nice. I was like, why'd you do that? I was like, that really hurt me. And it made me so sad that he just went, I'm sorry. that made me laugh really hard, that he played along. That was probably my favorite, working with him and Pam Anderson. And Pam Anderson was very giving. A lot of people just dismiss her as a sexual icon, but she's a really giving, sweet woman.
Were you on Baywatch? When did you meet Pam Anderson?
Well, I worked with her for 2 years on a show called Stacked on Fox.
Private schools are no picnic. I went to an all-girls Catholic school, and I had a terrible time.
Wouldn't still happen to have that uniform, would you?
Yeah, but it'd be really short and tight on me. Kind of reminds me about when I used to misbehave and get spanked with the ruler. Is that pretty much the picture you're looking for, Stuart?
I would have preferred a tickle fight, but yeah.
It was
Yeah,
me.
back in 2004, I think, right?
2005, 2006. And and Elon Gold was on the show, and Pam Landerson and Christopher Lloyd and myself. And Pam was great. It was the best work day because she wanted to take her kids to school and pick her kids from school. She wanted to pick up her kids from school. So that meant we had a short work day. We only worked from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day. And it was fantastic. And it was still an hour of lunch. It was the best job I ever had.
Wow. Yeah. All the moms at home saying, I wish I had that kind of privilege
Yeah.
to be able
And
to
you
tell my
got to
boss
look at
what time the
Pamela
workday's
Anderson back
over
in the
so that
day.
I can go pick up my kids from school. That would be something special.
What'd you say, Al?
And you got to look at Pamela Anderson for the other 3 hours.
I blocked it out the best I could. I never saw the sex tape, so that made it easy for me. And I was like, well, she's a coworker, just block it out.
Be
But
professional.
there's like
right?
she was great. Like after the show, I remember laying down on the ground in front of the crowd, and she jumped on top of me and started ripping my clothes off. I have those moments, and so all I was thinking was, I want every ex-girlfriend or every girl who ever turned me down to see the show and go, I should have kept dating the fat guy, you know.
So there's an episode of Stacked where Pam Anderson is ripping your clothes off.
No, that was off screen.
Oh, why?
Just why? Screw you. Look at this. She was having fun. We were friends. But I worked on a lot of shows. I recently worked with William H. Macy on Shameless. I have a recurring on A Million Little Things right now on ABC. I worked on Mad Men. Like Mad Men, it's not so much a fun celebrity. So I'm trying. If you name a show, I can give you a story. But if you think of it off the top of my head.
Well, how about Dexter? Because I'm a big fan of Dexter.
He was in his head. He was the character the whole time.
Yeah.
I was there for I had 2 weeks. I had a bunch of scenes in one day. Then 2 weeks later, I went back for the end of the episode. So he was very much in his head, but he was very nice. And at the end of the episode, he was really relaxed and joking around. And I stumbled on a line. He was like, "Hey, don't worry about it." But like before that, he was in his head, you know.
Yeah. Al, have you ever seen Dexter?
The best part
I've
is
never
2
seen
weeks.
Dexter, no.
About 2 months later.
I'm still on Pam Anderson.
He said, anyway, at the end of the episode, he jumped on me, started ripping my clothes off. No, but I went back to the lot. I had an audition in the same lot, and he was walking by, the guy who plays Dexter, and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" And he came up to me and started talking. Now that really impressed me. The guy was on like the most famous show at the time, and he remembered me, and I was out. That touched me. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah, that's cool. So, when things are normal, as they're starting to slowly but surely get back to normal now, what is your schedule like? How much stand-up are you doing in LA? How much auditioning would you be doing? Like, I mean, excluding the pandemic.
When things opened up,
Yeah.
I don't know, because everyone, and when the writer's strike hit in 2008, it was followed by the economy collapse that The Big Short is based on. So for 3 years, it was very little work. Now, everyone in the acting or directing or writing business got shoved down a level during that. So I don't know what's going to happen after this one. I lost my agents, so I wonder if we're all going to get shoved down a level again. This doesn't always carry over to stand-up, but it does carry over to the rest of entertainment. So it's like I went from being a lead on sitcoms to being a guest role. And if you were a lead in movies, you were suddenly a lead on TV, Like Kevin Bacon was a lead in movies and suddenly he was on The Following, So everyone got shoved down. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But right now,
everything is shut down. We're all doing podcasts.
Exactly. And it's hard to get people to pay for it. I'm trying to get people to pay for my podcast. Like, no, well, we get 100 for free. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
You can't believe the shit I'm doing while we've been closed. I've been doing, of course, this podcast, which I do love, but I've been doing things like the Fat Food Review.
Yeah, it's great. Good
handicapping Santa Anita's race card. I mean,
yeah,
I'm losing my mind. I got to get back to work.
You got to do something. Exactly. I'm doing a Patreon, and it's 3 videos a week. I interview an actor or a comic about their favorite movies, and then I do a skit by myself. I play all the parts, and then I do some stand-up. So, but people, it's $5 a month, and some people join. But most people don't because they're paying for Netflix, they're paying for Hulu, they're paying for Amazon Prime, they're paying for Disney Plus. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, who are you gonna keep, Hulu or Brian Scolaro Patreon? You know what I mean? But I'm trying to get people can join and quit at any time. But it's, you know, I released a book during all this. I released an album during all this. Little did I know, nobody buys albums anymore. It's all streaming. So that was a waste of 3 months.
Tell us about your book, Brian. What is your book about?
It's a comedy book. It's my act. It's my first act, my second act, my third act, my act now, and future jokes. And there's a lot of skits in there. It's called How to Punch a Monkey. It's on Amazon.com. It's like I love the book Brain Droppings when I was younger, George Carlin Brain Droppings. So it's kind of along that vein, but it's cheap and it's fun. And it's a great bathroom book. You know, it's like you read a couple of pages, you wipe, you leave.
Well, Jerry
you can even use the pages to wipe.
Sign language.
What's that?
I said Jerry did it. Sign language.
Yeah.
He basically put his act into.
Yeah, exactly. It was, I people seem to like it. I get people when people buy it. I get a nice comment all the time. It's just if I was more famous, I think I could probably live off that for a year. But instead, I get to buy a little marijuana or something, or a pizza.
Well, you should be more famous, Brian.
So,
you should.
I was born between the booms. What's that?
Why would the agents drop you? I mean, it's not like you had any control.
They got fired because they got. I never had a PA agent. I had a theatrical agent. So I always went the route of an actor first. The manager who picked me up said, "I want to get you auditions." I said, "All right, I'm with you." Other people were like, "I'll get you on the road." I'm like, "No, I'm going with that guy." So when people don't know me as a comic, it's because I went to a theatrical management company, not a personal appearance management company. And that's fine because you get more money playing the road if you are on TV. So in the long run, it's better to go that route.
Here, let me help the listeners real quick, because a lot of them aren't actors and stuff. So if an actor
I thought I explained it easily, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, you did, but I want them to understand a theatrical manager or theatrical agent might sound like somebody that would help you get an audition for Broadway, but the term means like someone that helps you get auditions for acting roles on television and film, like the kind of stuff that Brian has done. And when it says personal appearance, that generally means like stand-up dates, like you go to the club on that weekend. So
those people help get you Comedy Central specials, and I had to get all that on my own, but like some people like you can see that careers being made. Like Levity will pick a 19-year-old female comic out of a lineup, and suddenly that person's on magazine covers, headlining the clubs that they own. They have a special on the TV channel they own. So they just kind of make their comics famous. And I'm from another school, which is you just have to be funny,
Right.
But right now, it doesn't mean I don't jerk off to their pictures. I still do that. I should not have said that joke. I should not.
You were canceled already.
Clayton just fell off his chair because of our PG rating.
We're not getting that one for this episode.
You cursed first. I heard you curse first.
Yeah, okay, don't worry, guys. The explicit tag
I'm sorry. It was just a joke. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Nah, it's okay. Sometimes comedians just say whatever pops into their minds, and everybody needs to relax a little bit. Yeah,
it was just a joke. You can't cancel me because I'm already canceled.
You can't cancel somebody who's already been dropped by his agent, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I'm already canceled.
He's canceled already. Look, if you've never been in a comedy club when Brian Scolaro is on stage, you haven't seen this. But, I mean, the guy absolutely has the audience in the palm of his hand from the minute up there. And what
crushes every time.
And what I love about his work is I don't feel like Brian's up there trying to change the world, some of his comedy will make you think, but the main thing he's trying to do, which I think all comedians should have as their number one goal, is to make me laugh as hard as I've ever laughed in my life.
Thank you, I appreciate that. There's some comics. Richard Jenney said about Bill Hicks, every comic has a license to tell the truth, and but Richard Jenney said, I don't really take that license, but Bill did. And it's like when I try to change the world, I just come off angry. So you figure out what's good for you. And I listen to what I like. I like Brian Regan. I like Jim Gaffigan. I like guys who are silly. So and I loved how Robin Williams would go on stage and it would be a whirlwind. And then he'd leave and you're like, wow. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to give them an experience for 15, 20 minutes where they were like, wow, wow. They just laughed. And that's what I want. That's what I want when I leave. I don't want them to throw money at me. I would like that. I don't want every girl to hit on me. I just want the audience to be like, well, we got what we came for. You know what I mean?
Now, Al, as a comedy club owner, Al, what do you when you hear a comedian talking like that's what he's trying to do? Well, what do you think of that?
Well, listen, that's what I've always stand by. I just want funny, you know.
Yeah.
There was an era in New York where certain club owners or bookers would say, "Oh, we're looking for the next big sitcom star," and they really get. Yeah, listen, just get on my freaking stage, and if I can hear you from the bar 2 walls away getting laughs, that's all I care about.
Exactly.
Because some guy who's worked a 60-hour week takes his girlfriend out to sit down and has a couple of beers and some chicken wings. He doesn't need to hear some kind of sophisticated, deep, meaning comedy that's politically. He just wants to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's room for that, but like there's room for people who do that. There's room for everybody, but it's like you go to the audience that wants that. You don't go to like a tourism crowd and try to change the world. But it's like, it doesn't matter. Everybody does something different. I'll tell you something you probably don't remember, Al.
Yeah.
In like 1992 or 93, you were the first club owner I ever auditioned for. I went, it was like 5 o'clock, and I went to New York Comedy Club. I had only done stand-up 3 times, 3 bringer shows. And I saw the advertisement, and I went to the New York Comedy Club, and it was just me and you sitting in the back. And I was brand new. And you laughed. And I got off stage, and you were like, "You're funny. You just need more time. This and that." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then I just left. But I remember you were pleasant. You watched new comedians, brand new comedians. You actually did the work and sat there and watched brand new people. And I was like, that. I never forgot that, how nice you were in the very beginning. You know?
Yeah, and it shows you how far I've come along. I still do that.
that's great. You care about comedy, and that's what.
Yeah.
You know, like all you want is somebody to look at you when you're new and give you, and like if they don't take you, at least tell me why. Let me fix it. You know,
someone that's not charging you $25 to watch your video.
Exactly.
You know, stuff like that. Absolutely. Wow, I didn't even remember that.
I know. I don't think why I've never told you. I haven't told you. You know, I've worked for you a lot since, but I've never told you. But you're the first guy I read for.
I went back to college. Forget these things through the years, you know. And
sure. It was ages
ago.
I did
30 years ago.
DeResta, you know. So I
think I did 10 minutes. I think I did 5 minutes of Godzilla jokes. You know, I wasn't past worthy yet. I know that.
We always cringe when we watch our very early material, right? I know I used to do stand-up. I'm not sure you know.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, no.
Yeah. I did it from 89 till about 2000. I did a lot of it. Now it's very sporadic. I did one of the last episodes of Evening at the Improv, and then I booked the show.
was that Rick when Rick Overton hosted?
That was in '94. That day, Jonelle Allen was the host.
Okay,
and Bud Friedman did a little couple of minute intro. And I remember some of the acts on that show. Guy named Krantz. Was it Stephen Krantz? Do you remember him? A thin guy.
Name, yeah.
Wayne Fetterman was on the show with me.
Hello, Wayne. I see Wayne all the time here. Yeah.
Yeah, and Red Johnny on the Round Guy.
Sure. Well, John DiMaggio now is Bender on the Futurama.
Oh, really?
One of the guys. Okay. Yeah, one of the guys. Red Johnny, John DiMaggio, is now the voice of Bender on Futurama. So he's doing okay.
I was wondering where those guys went. I hadn't seen them.
I'm guessing the Round Guy died of a heart attack just from his name. But Red Johnny's doing fine. I don't know. But this was my Godzilla joke. I was like, if you lived in Japan, why don't you just move? If every week you're being attacked by a giant monster, seems like it's time to pull you all around. Lisa. Like Godzilla comes through, like, well, they just keep building their house. Like, you said Godzilla came through and destroyed our house. That was crazy. Look out, a giant moth. Oh, that was crazy. I hope that doesn't happen again. To them, seeing a monster is like us seeing a red traffic light. Like, Mothra, I'm never going to make work now. It's all just dumb joke.
Godzilla jokes.
Like I say, we cringe at what we watch.
Yeah, I still like that joke.
It's not bad.
What is Mothra gonna do? All he can eat. Oh, he's a giant moth. All he can do is eat Godzilla's sweater.
Eat the sweater.
What was wrong with me that I didn't pass you listening to that?
It was dumb Godzilla jokes.
Yeah,
that's why.
Great.
No, but you were very nice. You were like, I'd only done 3 shows. That's it. And you were like, you need more time, and you were right.
Yeah. Well, it was good that Al.
And I wasn't mad at you. I just was happy that you laughed.
Yeah.
Because at that point,
sometimes though, you took it in a good way. Sometimes, every once in a while, there is a comedian that doesn't like when they want you to be honest, but and I've always been of the opinion, there are 2 ways that people define honesty. They define honesty by either just like machine gun fire, blasting people down, or like I've always felt, I'm not of the Simon Cowell camp. Having been a performer, I'm sensitive to it, that you don't ruin a person's ego or their mindset. You got to, explain it to them in a nice way, and then let them find their way.
Yeah, but some people are insane. What's one thing I've realized thanks to Facebook and Twitter is how many insane people are out in this world. Like there used to be when we were kids, you had one crazy guy in the class, and we all knew to stay away from him. One crazy guy in the neighborhood, everybody in the neighborhood stayed away from him. Now the crazy people have a way to talk to each other and build a whole crazy brigade, and it's different now. Now crazy. Yeah, it's insane. Like now you really have to deal with the crazy people because they got friends when they used to just be by themselves. So anyway, that's what I want. So when you tell somebody you need more time, you don't know if the guy's got a fucking knife in his coat. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't audition people right now.
It's true, but it's a good thing that Al didn't crush your dreams back then.
He was good. He said you're very funny. He's like, I like this joke. I like that joke. I think you just need a little more time. I was like, yeah, you're right. I only did 3 shows, and my friends were in the audience. Those 3 shows.
We always joke about 6 degrees of Al Martin because it all comes back to Al one way or the other. Every single person.
No, he was great. I always remember that. I always remember that. So
yeah, that's a nice story. I'm glad it worked out that way. Even though Al doesn't remember, but it's been 30 years.
So how do you remember? It's 22 years ago.
30 years, and you figure I watched at least 100 auditioners a year.
Yeah.
Or more. So that was probably like 6,000 auditions ago.
Yeah, that was exactly 30. It was 29 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even look. I look like I ate that guy.
All right. Well, before we say goodbye, Brian, can you share your social medias with us and where you tell us again about your Patreon, all that stuff?
Well, I have a site, patreon.com/Brian Scolaro. That's Scolaro. I'd love if you guys join that. If you don't want to join that, I'd love you to buy the book on Amazon, How to Punch a Monkey. I swear to God, you'll like it. You don't gotta like all of it, and you won't like all of it, but you'll like most of it. I'm on Twitter, Brian_Scolaro, but I'm barely on that. That's just where I just get yelled at all the time for posting a joke about Pepe Le Pew. Like, how dare you? It's just a joke about Pepe. It's a cartoon skunk. It's a joke. It's not a human being.
Very offensive. Very offensive.
I deleted like 20 people throughout Corona on Facebook for being insane. So I got lots of room on Facebook. You can feel
I love this blocking thing. Did this ever happen to you? You get into a fight with somebody, and then you don't even know. You realize halfway through, who is this person? Like,
exactly.
How did they get on my feed? I don't even know.
My favorite is like a guy you haven't spoke to since freshman year of college. He's never commented on anything. He's never liked anything. And yet he shows up for a discussion about masks going, well, actually, masks don't work because one guy wrote to me, he goes, if masks work, how did I get pink eye when my girlfriend farted in my face? And I was like, really? We're going to talk about this? I was like, I think chances are if you're letting your girlfriend fart in your face, you already live a pretty disgusting lifestyle. So I'm guessing you got pink eye somewhere else. Like I couldn't believe I had to have that conversation with him. So I deleted a lot of non-maskers. I was like, nah, get out of here.
All right. So if you're anti-mask, be careful about following Brian _Scolaro.
If you're anti-mask, be aware of how many people you killed.
and maybe think about putting a mask on while we come to the hopefully the conclusion of this
Right.
pandemic. Al, is there anything else you wanted to get from Brian before we say goodbye?
No, that's it. I mean, I think he's been one of the most entertaining guests in terms of
Yeah, it feels like
making me laugh. I don't know
Yeah,
what happened 30 years ago, but you're killing with me right now.
hilarious.
Listen, Al, it was great to see you. Thanks for having me on, and
Thanks,
thanks for
man.
everything. And I look forward to coming back soon. You know,
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
So thanks so much for doing it. So for
Thanks,
Brian,
Clayton. Thanks,
yeah,
Clayton.
absolutely, buddy. So for Brian Scolaro, for Al Martin, and of course for our technical producer Jay Frank behind the scenes, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you.